You felt it before you understood it. A subtle pressure in the atmosphere, a shift in the way people looked at you, a strange heaviness mixed with clarity that arrived without explanation. This was not coincidence, and it was not imagination. 5 opposing forces have crossed into your path, not by accident, not because you were weak, but because your alignment has reached a level that demands resistance. When light increases, opposition responds instinctively. These presences did not arrive to overpower you. They arrived because they sensed movement in your destiny. They recognized that something within you has begun to activate, something that threatens systems built on fear, confusion, and limitation. God allowed you to sense this not to frighten you, but to awaken your discernment and strengthen your authority before anything could touch you. You are not being ambushed. You are being observed. Every step you've taken recently, every decision made in silence, every boundary you enforced without explanation has altered your spiritual signature. That signature carries authority, and authority attracts attention from both protection and resistance. The reason these forces entered your path now is because the season of hiding has ended. You are no longer moving unnoticed. Heaven has already marked you as protected, which is why what approaches you cannot do so directly. They linger at the edges, testing access points, probing old wounds, searching for permissions that no longer exist. What once worked against you will not work again, because the version of you standing now is not the one they studied before. God's protection around you is not passive. It is active, responsive, and intelligent. It adjusts in real time as you move. Angels are not merely guarding you from attack. They are rerouting encounters, delaying harm, confusing hostile intentions, and neutralizing threats before they become visible. That strange delay you experienced, that sudden change of plans, that person who disappeared without explanation, those were not losses. They were divine interventions. The 5 opposing forces expected access through familiarity, emotion, or distraction, but they encountered resistance instead. Not resistance from effort, but from alignment. Alignment is the language heaven responds to fastest. You may notice heightened dreams, sharper intuition, or moments where you suddenly know without being told. This is not accidental. God is sharpening your perception because protection works best when awareness is awake. You are being trained to recognize energy shifts, motives behind words, and intentions hidden beneath behavior. These forces do not attack openly. They rely on confusion, fatigue, and emotional loopholes. But your clarity has increased. You are no longer easily pulled into reactions that drain your power. That restraint alone has already disarmed, more than you realize. What makes this moment significant is that the 5 forces did not arrive together by chance. Each represents a different tactic once used against you: doubt, distraction, emotional manipulation, isolation, and fear of visibility. In previous seasons, even one of these could slow you down. Now they move together because individually they no longer work. This is confirmation of growth, not danger. When opposition escalates its strategy, it is because the old methods failed. God is not warning you of defeat. He is revealing evidence of progress. You are not meant to fight these forces directly. That is not your assignment. Your role is to remain aligned, grounded, and unmoved. Heaven handles what you do not engage. The moment you refuse to react, argue, chase, or explain, protection activates at a higher level. Your stillness is not weakness. It is authority in its purest form. The more you stay anchored in truth, the more these forces lose access to your energy field. They cannot linger where they are not fed. Understand this clearly. God did not allow these presences near you without already preparing the outcome. Nothing is allowed into your path without first passing through divine permission. You are not exposed. You are covered. You are not surrounded. You are fortified. What feels like pressure is actually compression before expansion. Protection is tightening, not weakening. The reason you feel watched is because you are being witnessed not just by opposition, but by heaven itself. This is the moment to trust the still, quiet confidence rising within you. Not arrogance, not fear, but certainty. Certainty that you are guided. Certainty that you are shielded. Certainty that nothing can cross the boundary God has drawn around your life. The five forces will not stay long. They never do when they realize access is denied. What remains after they retreat will be clarity, momentum, and a deeper sense of authority than you have ever carried before. This is not a warning. This is confirmation. Protection has already been activated. The moment those forces crossed into your awareness, the atmosphere around your life shifted, not in panic, but in response. What entered your path did not arrive unnoticed, nor did it come with the power it expected to wield. There was a recognition that happened instantly, a pause in the unseen, as if something ancient realized it had stepped into territory it did not own. This is how protection begins, not with noise, not with fear, but with authority that doesn't announce itself. What you felt as unease was actually alignment. What you sensed as pressure was exposure. These intrusions were permitted only because they would activate something greater within you. Something heaven has been waiting to reveal. Each presence that approached carried an assignment, but none carried permission. They came expecting access and found resistance. They came searching for weakness and encountered structure. Around you exists a boundary not formed by effort, but by covenant. It has been strengthened over time through obedience, restraint, endurance, and moments where you chose faith over reaction. That boundary doesn't flare or glow for display. It hums quietly, steadily, unmistakably. It responds automatically when something unclean, manipulative, or destructive draws near. You don't have to fight because the design of your spirit already knows how to repel. What makes this moment different is not that they came, but that they were exposed the instant they arrived. Their tactics failed before they were even deployed. Confusion didn't stick. Distraction didn't root. Weariness lifted faster than expected. This is how divine protection operates when someone has crossed into a new level of alignment. God does not always remove opposition. Sometimes He shortens its lifespan. Sometimes He allows it to show up just long enough for you to realize how untouchable you've become. There is a reason these forces arrive together. When influence gathers in numbers, it often signals desperation rather than strength. They sensed momentum building around you. They felt doors opening that they could not close. They recognized acceleration opportunities aligning, clarity sharpening, authority stabilizing. What they attempted to interrupt only confirmed how far you've come. Their presence was not a warning of danger. It was evidence of progress. You are no longer invisible in the spiritual realm. You are no longer overlooked. You are recognized. God's protection does not operate react. It moves ahead of you, setting limits before conflict arises. Long before these energies stepped into your path, boundaries were already placed. Angels were already assigned. Outcomes were already decided. That's why nothing escalated. That's why what could have turned chaotic instead dissolved quietly. You are being kept not because you asked in fear, but because you have been walking in obedience even when it was uncomfortable, even when it cost you relationships, even when it required solitude. There is also something important you must understand. Protection at this level does not feel dramatic. It feels calm. It feels like clarity returning faster than usual. It feels like peace reasserting itself when it should have been shaken. It feels like strength without adrenaline. That calm is not weakness, it is dominance. It is the sign of someone whose spirit is governed, anchored, and backed by authority greater than anything that could oppose it. These intrusions were meant to test access points, not attack directly. They were searching for emotional cracks, unresolved wounds, lingering guilt, old patterns. What they found instead was closure, healing, discernment. You have already done the work they hoped you had avoided. The prayers you whispered when no one saw, the boundaries you enforced when it hurt, the silence you chose instead of retaliation, all of it fortified your perimeter. Now, when something approaches, it finds no entry. Only resistance, it cannot override. God wants you to know that this protection is not temporary. It is not situational. It is the result of alignment. As you continue forward, you will notice less interference, fewer disruptions, shorter battles. Not because opposition disappears, but because it loses relevance. What once drained you will now dissolve. What once lingered will now retreat. You are moving into a phase where protection feels invisible because it is integrated. It surrounds you as naturally as breath. Do not overanalyze what tried to approach you. Do not give it significance it no longer deserves. The lesson was not about fear, it was about confirmation. Heaven allowed you to notice just enough to understand that you are not exposed. You are covered. You are not vulnerable. You are reinforced. And what God shields, nothing can penetrate. Keep walking forward without hesitation. Do not slow down. Do not look back. The path ahead is guarded, the ground beneath you is secured, and the authority you carry speaks before you ever say a word. The moment you sensed the shift, the unseen reacted faster than thought itself. What appeared ordinary on the surface was never ordinary beneath it. 5 distinct pressures entered your path, not by accident, not by coincidence, but by permission that had limits written into it before they ever drew near. You were never exposed, never unguarded, never vulnerable the way it seemed. What you felt as unease was not fear rising in you, it was resistance forming around you. Heaven did not wait to respond. It was already in motion long before the threat became visible to your awareness. These forces did not arrive to overpower you. They arrived to test boundaries they were never allowed to cross. Each one carried a different intention, a different strategy, a different disguise. Yet all of them shared the same fatal miscalculation. They assumed your protection was passive. They believed your strength was dormant. They mistook your calm for weakness, your silence for absence, your patience for delay. What they could not perceive was the layered defense already surrounding you. A living structure of divine authority that reacts not with panic, but with precision. As they approached, their momentum slowed, not physically, but spiritually. Their clarity fractured. Confusion crept in where confidence once stood. You may have noticed sudden changes in people, plans unraveling without explanation, conversations collapsing mid-sentence, intentions losing coherence. This was not randomness. This was containment. Heaven does not always remove threats immediately. Sometimes it disorients them so completely that they neutralize themselves. Each of the 5 carried an assignment, tailored to a different entry point. One aimed at your mind, attempting to resurrect old doubts you had already outgrown. Another moved toward your emotions, hoping to reopen wounds that no longer defined you. One watched your resources, seeking disruption through delay and frustration. Another attempted to manipulate timing, pushing you toward exhaustion rather than defeat. The last one sought distraction, not destruction, believing that if your focus shifted, your alignment would weaken. None of them succeeded. What stopped them was not effort on your part. It was recognition. The moment they realized who you were connected to, the strategy collapsed. Divine protection is not reactive, it is declarative. It announces jurisdiction. It establishes territory. It signals limits. And when those limits are crossed, correction follows without negotiation. You were never meant to fight these forces directly because the battle was never yours. Your role was awareness, alignment, and obedience to inner guidance. Heaven handled the rest. You may have felt an unusual stillness during this period, as if the world paused around you. That stillness was not stagnation. It was recalibration. When divine protection intensifies, noise fades. Chaos loses volume. Distractions fall away. What remains is clarity sharper than fear. This is why the attacks never landed. They could not gain traction in a space governed by order. What makes this moment significant is not that danger approached, but that it was exposed without harming you. Exposure is a form of mercy. You were shown what attempted to enter your path, so you could recognize patterns without becoming trapped by them. Discernment grows not through constant struggle, but through observation protected by wisdom. You saw just enough to learn, not enough to wound. Heaven's protection is not distant or symbolic. It is intimate, active, and specific. It adjusts according to season. It strengthens according to assignment. It intervenes according to purpose. The forces that entered your path underestimated this because they measure strength by volume, aggression, and speed. Divine protection operates through authority, restraint, and timing. That difference changes outcomes completely. You were never in danger of losing your path. The path itself was secured. What was at risk was clarity, and that was guarded fiercely. This is why confusion did not take root. This is why despair did not linger. This is why fear knocked but never entered. The protection around you does not merely block harm, it preserves direction. As these forces retreated, they did not leave empty-handed. They carried with them a warning written into their failure. Your covering is not seasonal, not conditional, and not dependent on circumstances. It is assigned. It follows you. It precedes you. And it adjusts itself as you rise. This is the stage where many chosen ones misunderstand what is happening. They expect visible confrontation, dramatic collapse, loud victory. Instead, what they receive is quiet dominance. Threats dissolve before becoming stories. Attacks end before becoming memories. This silence is not absence of power, is proof of it. What happened was not an interruption of your journey, but a confirmation of it. Protection does not arrive because you are weak. It intensifies because you are advancing. When movement accelerates, oversight increases. When purpose sharpens, defense tightens. This is divine order. You are being guarded not because you are fragile, but because what you carry is valuable. And value attracts attention. Heaven does not allow what is precious to be mishandled. The 5 that entered your path learned this without you having to explain it. Confront it, or suffer from it. And now, as the pressure lifts, you may notice momentum returning, ideas flowing again, energy stabilizing, direction becoming clearer. This is the after effect of divine intervention. It does not leave residue of fear, it leaves clarity. It does not demand gratitude through panic. It invites confidence through peace. You were protected, not at the last second, but before the first step was taken against you. And that is the truth many never see. The moment you sensed the shift, it wasn't fear that rose inside you, but awareness. Something moved in the unseen. Something crossed into your path, not by accident, not by coincidence, but by permission allowed only for a greater purpose. 5 dark intentions aligned themselves toward you, thinking you were unaware, believing you were unguarded, assuming you were still the version of yourself that once doubted, hesitated, and questioned your calling. But what they did not account for was the authority that now surrounds you, the covering that rests over your life, and the divine intelligence that alerts heaven before danger ever reaches your doorstep. God does not warn chosen ones to frighten them. He reveals so you can stand firm, unmoved, and unshaken, knowing that nothing enters your path without already being measured, weighed, and restrained. These forces did not come to destroy you outright. They came to confuse your timing, to disrupt your focus, to create emotional turbulence disguised as coincidence. Sudden misunderstandings, unexpected fatigue, strange resistance where there was once flow, subtle discouragement whispering that you should slow down or shrink back. This is how they attempt entry, not with noise, but with distortion. Yet the moment they approached, the spiritual alarm was already sounding. Heaven responded instantly, not with panic, but with precision. Angels were assigned, routes were redirected, conversations were intercepted before they reached you, and outcomes were altered in ways you may never consciously notice, yet deeply feel as relief, calm, or an unexplainable sense of safety. You must understand this clearly. Demons cannot bypass divine permission, and they cannot override your assignment. They can only test boundaries, hoping you will step outside your alignment voluntarily. That is why protection is not always about blocking attacks, but about strengthening discernment. God is sharpening your perception so you no longer confuse spiritual interference with personal failure. What once drained you will now expose itself quickly. What once lingered will now lose access. What once had influence will now feel powerless in your presence. This is not accidental growth. It is intentional preparation, as these forces realized they could not touch your core. They attempted something else: observation, watching how you respond, waiting for emotional openings, scanning for unresolved wounds. But even this failed, because your healing has already sealed doors they once entered through. You are no longer reacting blindly. You are responding with clarity. Silence has become your weapon. Stillness has become your shield. Discernment has become your language. This is why God allowed awareness instead of isolation. You are not meant to hide from darkness. You are meant to walk so illuminated that it cannot remain near you without being exposed. Protection does not always look like distance. Sometimes it looks like strength under pressure, calm during tension, and wisdom in moments that once caused collapse. These 5 forces underestimated what God has built in you through trials, losses, delays, and solitude. Every season that felt heavy was reinforcing your spiritual foundation. Every tear watered discernment. Every delay trained patience. Every betrayal taught authority. You were not being broken. You were being armored, Now, the message is clear. Remain aligned. Do not overreact. Do not engage emotionally with what was meant to distract. Let God handle what you were never meant to fight manually. Your role is to stay centered, stay obedient to your inner knowing, and keep moving forward without explaining yourself. When God protects, He does not always remove opposition. He renders it ineffective. And that is exactly what is happening now. The path ahead is guarded, not because there is no threat, but because the threat has no permission. What entered your path will exit without impact. What tried to observe will retreat, confused. What hoped to delay will instead accelerate your rise. This is not the moment to shrink. This is the moment to trust that heaven has already gone ahead of you, clearing what you cannot see, silencing what you cannot hear, and blocking what you were never meant to carry. And as you continue walking, remember this: when God reveals danger, it is never to alarm you, but to remind you of who stands with you. You are not vulnerable. You are watched over. You are protected. And nothing that enters your path now does so without first bowing to divine authority. The moment you realize what has unfolded, everything begins to make sense in a way it never did before. The tension you felt, the strange resistance in the air, the sudden emotional weight that seemed to press on your spirit without explanation was not random. 5 distinct forces crossed your path, each carrying an assignment, each believing you would be unprepared, unaware, and unguarded. Yet none of them anticipated what surrounded you, what stood within you, or who had already moved ahead of you. Heaven did not react in panic. It responded with precision. What felt like pressure was actually confirmation that you were standing exactly where you were meant to stand. At the exact moment your authority was being tested. You were never meant to fight these forces head-on in the way most imagine. There was no dramatic clash, no visible confrontation, no chaos for the world to witness. Instead, something far more powerful took place in silence. Your presence alone disrupted their intention. The frequency you carry acted like a sealed gate, one they could sense but could not breach. They circled, observed, and waited for weakness, yet found none. What they encountered instead was a calm they could not manipulate, a clarity they could not distort, and a protection they could not penetrate. This is why the heaviness lifted without explanation, why the confusion dissolved suddenly, and why peace returned faster than logic could justify. God's protection over you does not always arrive as spectacle. Often, it arrives as restraint placed on the enemy, limitation imposed without your awareness, boundaries drawn in the unseen. Those forces believed they could intimidate you through subtle fear, emotional disturbance, or mental noise. Instead, they encountered resistance that did not come from effort, but from alignment. Your obedience in past seasons, your endurance through isolation, and your willingness to remain steady when everything urged you to. React created a spiritual authority that now speaks before you ever say a word. What you may not realize yet is that these 5 forces were not sent because you were vulnerable, but because you are advancing. They were dispatched to delay, distract, and derail what is unfolding next in your life. Yet delay could not attach, distraction could not take hold, and derailment failed entirely. Each attempt collapsed under the weight of divine order. God did not merely block their access. He reversed their assignment. What was meant to weaken you strengthened your discernment. What was meant to exhaust you sharpened your focus. What was meant to intimidate you confirmed your elevation. There is a reason you sensed a shift within. Yourself recently, a deeper stillness, a firmer grounding, a refusal to over-explain or overreact. This was not emotional detachment. It was spiritual maturity activating. When chosen ones reach this stage, protection becomes layered. Angels are not scrambling to defend. They are stationed. Boundaries are no longer temporary. They are permanent. The enemy does not need to be cast out loudly when authority is established quietly. This is the level you are stepping into now. You may notice that certain people suddenly withdrew, conversations ended without closure, or opportunities vanished before causing harm. These were not losses, they were extractions. God removed access points before damage could be done. Those 5 forces needed cooperation to succeed: fear, doubt, urgency, emotional reaction, or distraction. None of them found a foothold. Your spirit did not agree with the assignment, and that refusal alone neutralized it. What comes next is clarity. You will begin to see patterns with ease, recognize motives without paranoia, and move without hesitation. This is not hypervigilance, it is awareness. The same protection that blocked those forces now sharpens your discernment, so future attempts are recognized even faster. God is not preparing you to live in fear of attacks. He is preparing you to move freely without being affected by them at all. This is why peace feels deeper now, not fragile. This is why confidence is settling in without arrogance. This is why your presence feels heavier, grounded, and undeniable. The enemy knows when access has been permanently revoked. Those 5 forces learned something they cannot unlearn. You are not exposed. You are not wandering, and you are not unguarded. You are covered, authorized, and positioned. God's protection over you is not seasonal. It is strategic. You are entering a phase where movement matters, where influence increases, and where alignment must remain intact. The attempt to stop you failed because it was already too late. What is unfolding now cannot be reversed, only observed from a distance. The path ahead is clearer because resistance has been identified and removed. Remain steady. Do not look back searching for what was blocked. Do not question why things did not escalate. Silence was the victory. Protection was the message. And the fact that you are still standing, calm, focused, and aware is the proof that heaven intervened exactly as promised. You are not walking alone. You never were. And now, even the unseen knows it. The moment you became aware of the shift, everything changed, not outwardly at first, but deep within the unseen layers that shape reality long before it becomes visible. The path ahead of you did not suddenly clear. Instead, it hardened, as if reinforced by an authority that could no longer be challenged. What entered your life was not chaos by accident, but exposure by permission. Those 5 forces that crossed your path did so because they were allowed to reveal themselves, not to overpower you, but to confirm what already surrounds you. Protection does not always arrive as comfort. Sometimes it arrives as confrontation that proves immunity. You may have felt pressure without understanding its source, an odd tightening in your spirit, a heaviness that tried to attach itself but never quite could. That is because what approached you encountered resistance before contact. There is a boundary around you that does not shimmer or announce itself, yet it is absolute. It is constructed from obedience, endurance, and alignment forged long before this moment. Nothing crosses it without consequence. The forces that stepped into your awareness expected confusion, weakness, distraction. Instead, they met stillness. And stillness, when backed by divine authority, becomes terrifying to anything that thrives on disruption. What God is showing you now is not about fear, but confirmation. The reason you notice the disturbance is because your discernment has matured. There was a time when similar energies passed unnoticed, slipping through cracks formed by doubt or exhaustion. Those cracks are sealed now. The seal was formed through loss, patience, restraint, and the decision to keep moving forward even when clarity was delayed. That seal speaks louder than any prayer spoken aloud. It announces to the unseen that you are no longer accessible in the ways you once were. Each of the forces that entered your path carried an assignment, but none carried permission. They observed, measured, tested the perimeter, and withdrew with information they did not expect to report. What they encountered was not aggression, but order. Not resistance fueled by anger, but authority rooted in alignment. This is why protection does not always feel dramatic. Often it feels like nothing happened at all. But in the unseen, something decisive occurred. Lines were drawn. Limits were enforced. Access was denied. God wants you to understand that protection is not something that arrives late. It is already in place before the threat becomes visible. The reason you sensed the encounter is because you are being trained to recognize movement without reacting to it. Reaction feeds interference. Recognition neutralizes it. You did not panic because your spirit already knew the outcome. That calm was not accidental. It was the result of layers of preparation that you once thought were delays or punishments. They were neither. They were fortification. You are now standing in a phase where opposition exposes itself quickly and retreats faster. This is not because attacks have stopped, but because effectiveness has ended. The strategies that once worked no longer register. Confusion cannot settle. Fear cannot root. Distraction cannot linger. Even fatigue behaves differently now it passes through without staying. That is how you know protection is active, not by the absence of challenge, but by the absence of damage. God is also showing you that not every encounter is meant to be fought. Some are meant to be witnessed so you can understand your current rank. Authority reveals itself most clearly when nothing needs to be done. The fact that you are still standing, still focused, still moving forward is the evidence. Those forces came close enough to see, but not close enough to touch. That distance is intentional. It is the measure of your covering. There is also a warning within this revelation, not of danger, but of responsibility. When protection increases, awareness must follow. You are no longer meant to ignore your intuition or dismiss subtle signals. You don't need to fear them, but you are meant to respect them. God sharpens perception in those he protects deeply, not to burden them, but to keep them aligned. Staying aligned is what maintains the barrier, not striving, not proving, just alignment. What walks with you now is not fragile. It does not flicker with mood or circumstance. It is stable, reinforced, and recognized across realms. That is why things that once lingered now dissolve quickly. That is why some people drift away without conflict. That is why certain doors close quietly. Protection often looks like subtraction. God removes access points you no longer need to defend. Understand this clearly. You were not warned because you were in danger. You were shown because you were protected. God does not reveal threats to cause fear. He reveals them to show authority in action. You are being taught to trust the shield you carry without constantly checking if it's still there. It is there. It has been. And it will remain as long as you stay aligned with what placed it around you in the first place. This phase is not about survival anymore. It is about movement. Forward, steady, undistracted movement. The path ahead will continue to expose what cannot follow you. Let it. You are not meant to fight what is already restricted from reaching you. Keep walking. The protection moves with you. The moment you realize what has truly been happening around you, everything sharpens. The encounters that felt random were not accidents. The resistance you sensed in certain spaces was not imagination. 5 opposing forces did cross your path, each carrying a different assignment, each measuring, testing, probing the perimeter of what surrounds you. Yet none of them reached you. None of them crossed the invisible boundary that travels with you wherever you go. Heaven did not wait for damage to be done before responding. Protection was already active, already layered, already moving ahead of you like a living shield that adjusts itself in real time. What you experienced was not an attack succeeding, but an operation failing in silence. You carry a presence that cannot be rushed, cornered, or overwhelmed. When darkness approaches, it does not meet weakness, it meets order. There is structure in your spirit, alignment in your steps, and authority in your stillness. That is why intimidation replaces aggression. That is why confusion overtakes strategy. What was meant to trap you instead exposed the limits of what can touch you. God does not protect you loudly. He protects you completely. The defense around you is not reactive, it is preventative. It activates before danger forms language. It redirects paths before collision happens. It closes doors before you even notice they were open. Those 5 forces did not come because you are vulnerable. They came because you are progressing. Advancement always triggers resistance, but resistance does not mean permission. It means awareness. It means you have crossed into a level where your growth is visible in realms beyond the physical. Your obedience, even when quiet, has consequences. Your restraint, even when unseen, carries weight. Heaven responds to consistency, not noise. That is why protection has intensified without announcement. That is why certain people suddenly drift away, plans dissolve, and threats lose momentum before they form. You are not being spared by chance. You are being guarded by design. Understand this clearly. What follows you is not fear, but caution. Opposing forces do not chase what they can conquer. They monitor what they cannot penetrate. They study boundaries. They retreat from fire they cannot extinguish. You have been sealed through experiences that taught discernment, through losses that sharpened wisdom, through silence that strengthened authority. The very seasons that felt empty were the seasons where your defenses were reinforced. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was delayed. Everything was layered. Now is not the time to question why things didn't escalate. It's the time to recognize why they couldn't. You are walking with clearance, with backing, with authorization. The path ahead is opening not because opposition is gone, but because it no longer has permission. Your role now is to stay aligned, stay aware, and stay grounded in truth. You don't need to fight what cannot approach. You don't need to prove what is already acknowledged. You only need to continue forward with the same integrity that activated protection in the first place. If this message resonates, if you feel clarity rather than fear, confirmation rather than panic, then this word was meant for you. Stay connected. Subscribe to remain aligned with messages that sharpen discernment, strengthen spiritual authority, and reveal what heaven is doing behind the scenes for chosen ones like you. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what is released next. Like and share this message so others who are walking protected but confused can understand what is truly happening. You are not alone, you are not exposed, and you are not unguarded. You are moving forward, covered, directed, and watched over. Before you ever called yourself chosen, they already knew. Long before you prayed for clarity, long before you began to understand why life felt heavier for you than for everyone else, something on the other side had already marked your light. From the moment you were born, there was a strange awareness around you. Animals would look at you longer. People would either feel drawn to you or strangely uncomfortable in your presence. You didn't know it then, but you were carrying something ancient, something divine, and the shadows recognized it instantly. Because the truth is, demons don't attack the ordinary. They are drawn to the anointed. They recognize energy that doesn't belong to this world, a frequency of light so potent that it burns through their darkness. And when they find it, their only mission is to distract it, confuse it, and silence it before it realizes what it truly is. That's why your life never felt normal from your earliest memories. You noticed it, the unexplained heaviness, the sudden waves of sadness that didn't feel like your own. Nights when you'd wake up feeling watched, people turning against you for no reason, doors closing when you were certain they should open. You blamed yourself, thinking you were unlucky or unworthy. But now, you're beginning to see it wasn't you. It was what was inside you. The anointing on your life is like fire. Not the kind that destroys, the kind that purifies. But here's the secret few understand. Fire doesn't only attract light, it also draws moths and shadows. Demons sense the flame of divine power before you do. They study you. They whisper doubts to those closest to you. They place people in your path whose only purpose is to drain your energy and make you question your purpose. Because they know the moment you realize who you are, they lose all authority over you. You see, when a chosen one is born, heaven celebrates, but hell takes notice too. You may not remember it, but the battles you face in this world are echoes of wars fought over your destiny long before you arrived here. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every season of isolation, it wasn't random. It was calculated resistance from forces that knew your potential before you even took your first breath. Think about it. Why do some people seem untouched by struggle while others like you face battle after battle? Why do you keep surviving things that should have destroyed you? It's because your pain was never punishment. It was proof. Proof that you carry a purpose so immense it threatened the kingdom of darkness. There were nights when you cried out for answers, asking why you were always misunderstood, why people kept leaving, why the path felt so lonely. You wondered if maybe you were cursed, but now, let this truth settle deep into your spirit. You were never cursed. You were called, and calling comes with confrontation. Divine purpose always provokes demonic attention. That's why the moment you begin awakening, everything around you seems to shake. Because light doesn't quietly enter darkness, it disrupts it. You may not see it, but every trial has been shaping the fire within you, refining your discernment, sharpening your spirit, teaching you to walk by faith and not sight. Because one day soon, you'll understand, the same demons assigned to break you only revealed the strength of what God placed within you. So, if you feel like you're being watched, attacked, or misunderstood, you are. But not because you're weak. It's because you're chosen. You carry something that can't be extinguished, and they know it. This is the part of your journey where confusion ends and awakening begins. The moment you stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Because it's me." Because something sacred burns inside you, a divine signature that hell cannot imitate. And that's why you've been under constant fire. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out, to carry the vibration of truth into a world drowning in deception. And every shadow that rose against you did so because it recognized the light you refused to see in yourself. They've been watching you since the beginning, waiting for you to either surrender or awaken. And tonight, something shifts, because now you know the truth. They didn't choose you to attack by accident. They were assigned to test what heaven already crowned. You are not their victim. You are their reminder that the fire of the divine still lives among men. You've wondered why it felt like the moment you started doing better, darkness found you again. Every time peace entered your life, someone showed up to shatter it. But hear this clearly. Not every attack is an insult. Some are confirmation. When hell assigns demons to you, it's because heaven has already assigned purpose within you. See, the spiritual realm works in balance. Light moves and darkness reacts. The moment you took your first step toward awakening, you sent a signal. You didn't just pray differently. Your energy shifted. Your frequency started matching heaven's intention. And that kind of transformation doesn't go unnoticed. The fire within you became visible, not to the eyes of man, but to the eyes of spirits. Demons don't waste their time on people who pose no threat. They move against the ones whose very presence disrupts the atmosphere. You, yes, you have carried a divine code in your soul since birth, and they recognize it like a siren in the dark. You have something inside you that can free others, something that speaks life into places meant for silence. That's why you've been targeted, not because you're weak, but because your awakening threatens their entire network of illusion. They study your patterns. They know your triggers. They whisper through doubt, anxiety, and temptation, not because they can destroy you, but because they want to delay your becoming. That's what the demonic assignment really is, a delay tactic. They can't steal your destiny. All they can do is distract you from walking into it. But what they didn't expect is that their assignment would awaken your discernment. That through every betrayal, every rejection, every sleepless night, you would learn to see beyond faces and words. You'd start to feel energies. You'd stop chasing validation and start protecting your peace. That's when they knew the assignment was failing. Because the more they hit you, the stronger your spirit became. Every loss purified you. Every disappointment stripped away what couldn't go with you. Every heartbreak brought you closer to heaven's frequency. You began to hear the quiet voice within, the one you used to ignore, telling you this isn't the end. This is initiation, and that's exactly what it was. The demonic assignment wasn't to destroy you. It was to reveal you, to expose your resilience, to force the dormant power inside you to awaken. You see, when a chosen one rises, it's never out of comfort, it's out of conflict. It's the pressure that turns ordinary souls into divine vessels. Think of the moments that broke you the most, the ones that left you on your knees, trembling, begging for answers. In those moments, you weren't being abandoned. You were being rebuilt. Heaven allowed the pressure because it knew what it placed inside you could handle it. It knew your endurance would teach others how to survive their own darkness. That's why demons were assigned to you. Not because you're cursed, but because you're capable. You carry something rare, the ability to transmute pain into power, chaos into clarity, loss into wisdom. And when hell realized it couldn't destroy your light, it tried to distract it. Look back on your life, the false friends, the draining relationships, the sudden bursts of anxiety before your breakthroughs. None of it was coincidence. Those were coordinated hits designed to make you forget your worth. But now, your eyes are open. You see patterns where you once saw pain. You see spiritual warfare where you once saw bad luck. And this realization, this awakening, terrifies them. Because the most dangerous chosen one is the one who finally remembers who they are. The one who no longer seeks external approval. The one who recognizes that their isolation was protection, their heartbreak was redirection, and their pain was initiation. Every demon assigned to you thought they were breaking you down, but they were actually chiseling you into your purpose. Like a sculptor shaping marble, the resistance carved you into clarity. What was meant to wound you, refined you. Understand this. The greater your calling, the greater the opposition. You weren't given small struggles because your destiny isn't small. Heaven placed a heavy mantle on your shoulders, and that mantle required training. You've been in spiritual boot camp, and though it felt like warfare, it was actually preparation. Even now, forces still observe you, testing your reactions, checking if they can still reach you through fear or doubt. But something in you has changed. You no longer tremble at the darkness. The darkness trembles at you, because you've realized the truth. They were never attacking the human part of you. They were attacking the divine spark within you, and that spark is growing. Every day you choose peace over revenge, faith over fear, silence over chaos. Your fire burns brighter. You start to move differently. You speak with authority. You forgive not because it's easy, but because it breaks spiritual contracts. You've begun to master what they feared most: emotional control and spiritual awareness. When a chosen one reaches this stage, demonic assignments lose power, because darkness cannot manipulate what no longer reacts. Your peace becomes your weapon. Your stillness becomes your armor. Your awareness becomes your shield. So, if you've ever wondered, why me? Understand that you were chosen because of what's inside you. Your light disrupts illusions. Your spirit shifts frequencies. You are a vessel for divine energy that transforms everything it touches. And now, heaven smiles, because what was once used against you is now being used through you. You're no longer just surviving the assignment. You're mastering it. Remember this truth. Demons don't chase the weak. They chase the awakened. And the more you awaken, the more they panic, because you're no longer running from your fire. You're walking in it. The assignment against you was never to end you. It was to prove what could not be extinguished within you. And now that you know who you are, they know their time is up. There's a reason, chosen one, why your life has felt like a battlefield, not just in the physical sense, but deep within your spirit. You've probably noticed that the more you grow in peace, the more chaos tries to find you. The brighter your light burns, the more darkness seems to circle around it. And that's not coincidence. It's confirmation. Because what's inside you, that divine fire, that eternal spark, threatens the very existence of everything dark. You carry frequency, heaven's frequency, and the moment that energy expands through prayer, faith, or silent endurance, demons recognize it instantly. You don't need to speak. You don't need to fight. Your very presence exposes them. You see, darkness operates in deception, in fear, in confusion, but when someone like you walks into a room aligned with divine truth, everything false begins to shake. That's why you've been through battles that seem unfair. That's why you faced rejection, betrayal, heartbreak, not because you're cursed, but because you're carrying a light that must be refined. The more pressure you faced, the purer that light became. And now, Every force of darkness assigned against you sees you as a threat, not a victim. There are unseen conversations happening in the spiritual realm, and your name, chosen one, is often whispered among them. The moment you were born, your assignment was marked. Heaven recognized your potential, but so did hell. From the beginning, there have been dark entities assigned to your journey. Not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Every time you pray, your words echo like thunder in the spiritual dimension. Every time you choose kindness instead of bitterness, demons lose their grip. Every time you forgive someone who hurt you, the enemy's power over your heart breaks. That's why they attack you, not randomly, but strategically. You may have wondered, why me? Why does it feel like I can't rest? Like something always tries to drain my spirit? Because your energy carries something rare, the frequency of truth, the vibration of divine alignment. And when darkness senses that, it panics. But here's what most people don't understand. The demonic forces that were assigned to you can actually become your greatest teachers. Every attack was meant to reveal something inside you that you hadn't yet discovered. Your endurance, your authority, your unbreakable connection with God. When you went through loneliness, you discovered intimacy with the divine. When you lost everything, you discovered provision that didn't come from man. When you were misunderstood, you learned to find validation in your Creator. And now, the demons that once laughed at your pain are trembling at your peace. The darkness once thought it could destroy you through heartbreak, but you used that heartbreak to build discernment. They thought isolation would silence you, but solitude became your sacred training ground. They thought betrayal would harden your heart, but you turned it into wisdom. And now, every time you rise again, every time you smile despite the storm, every time you keep your faith when everything seems lost, you humiliate hell itself. Understand this deeply. Your spiritual glow isn't just metaphorical, it's real energy. You radiate divine frequency. Angels recognize it. Heaven amplifies it. Demons fear it. Because when they look at you, they don't just see a human, they see fire. They see divine authority wrapped in flesh. That's why you can't fit in with the world. You were never meant to blend in. The vibration you carry doesn't match this system. You speak truth where others remain silent. You love where others hate. You stand where others fall. You forgive where others plot revenge. That's why you're set apart. And here's the paradox. The more attacks you face, the more proof it is that you are walking in your divine calling. Because darkness doesn't waste energy on empty souls. It only targets those who are destined to shift timelines, awaken generations, and heal bloodlines. You are not under attack. You are under assignment. The energy within you is ancient. The light within you remembers lifetimes of divine purpose. Every spiritual wound you've endured has been transmuted into wisdom. Every tear you shed has become oil for your anointing. And the same demons that tried to destroy you now bow in recognition of what you carry. You might feel tired, weary even, because the spiritual path of the chosen is never easy. But look closer. The same pressure that tried to crush you also revealed your strength. You have walked through the valley of shadows, yet your flame never went out. That's not ordinary resilience. That's divine power. When others run, you stay calm. When others panic, you pray. When others fall apart, you stand still and let God move. That's why they fear you. Because you don't fight from the flesh, you fight from the spirit. You don't react, you discern. You were chosen not because you were perfect, but because you were willing. willing to endure, willing to believe, willing to rise again and again, even when no one saw your tears. Heaven saw. Heaven counted every battle. Heaven knows the weight you've carried, and every ounce of it will be turned into glory. So, the next time you feel the presence of darkness, don't fear, don't shrink. Stand tall. Remember who you are. You are light. You are divine fire in human form. And the moment you walk into any space, the spiritual realm adjusts. Shadows retreat. Demons scatter. Energy shifts. Because the assignment within you speaks louder than words. You were not sent here to simply survive. You were sent to awaken, to remind others of the truth buried inside them, to show that love is stronger than hate, that light is more powerful than fear. So walk boldly, chosen one. You are not fighting for victory, you are walking from victory. The war was already won the moment. You decided not to give up, and that's why the darkness fears you, because you're not just carrying light. You are light. They never tell you this part, that the higher you rise in light, the darker the shadows that try to meet you. But chosen one, you've probably already felt it, haven't you? Those nights when the air feels heavier, when the silence feels charged, when your spirit senses something unseen yet undeniably real. That's not your imagination. That's the spiritual realm reacting to your awakening. Demons are not drawn to your weakness, they're drawn to your strength. They recognize the divine energy you carry like a blazing torch in a dark world. You were marked the moment you stepped into your purpose. Not with fear, not with pain, but with light so bright that anything unholy can't help but notice. When you began to evolve, when you started to shed your old skin, break patterns, and rise from your pain, you disrupted the entire frequency of the lower realms. Darkness doesn't fear religion. It fears transformation. It fears the soul that remembers its divine nature. It fears you. Because when you awaken, you become a mirror, and every dark entity that looks your way sees its own defeat reflected back at it. You carry something ancient, something powerful, something that can't be copied. Divine authority. You don't even need to speak it. Your presence alone declares it. That's why your atmosphere changes when you walk into a room. People act differently around you. Some feel peace. Others feel discomfort. It's not them, it's what's attached to them. The energy that cannot withstand the vibration of truth tries to retreat. You've seen it happen. How certain people suddenly can't look you in the eyes. How others turn on you for no reason. Spiritually, their shadows are reacting to your light. You've always felt different, haven't you? Misunderstood. Too sensitive. Too aware. But that sensitivity is spiritual intelligence. It's how heaven wired you to detect what others can't, to move where others are blind. The enemy mistakes your compassion for weakness, but it's actually your greatest power. Because your love carries frequency, and frequency breaks strongholds. When you forgive what tried to destroy you, you disarm darkness. When you love through betrayal, you dissolve curses. When you stand still in faith while storms rage, you terrify hell itself. That's why demons are assigned to you, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. Every battle, every test, every delay you've faced has been a training ground. Heaven allows the pressure not to punish you, but to refine the power within you. Think about it. Diamonds form under immense pressure. Gold is purified through fire. Unchosen souls, they awaken through spiritual warfare. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, not by ego, but by essence. You carry the DNA of divine authority, and that's exactly what darkness recognizes. The moment you speak light into chaos, the unseen shifts. The moment you pray from a pure heart, chains break in realms you can't see. Do you ever notice how your thoughts get attacked when you're closest to breakthrough? That's because the enemy senses what's about to emerge. He doesn't fight the average soul, he fights the anointed. He doesn't waste time on the lost, he targets the found. But here's the divine reversal. For every attack sent against you, heaven has already written a victory. Every curse becomes fuel. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every delay becomes divine timing. You see, chosen one. Demons don't approach you because you're weak. They approach because they see the angelic hosts surrounding you. They sense your destiny, the mission you carry, the souls you'll awaken. They try to distract you, confuse you, make you doubt yourself. But your spirit, it's encoded with resilience. Even when you fall, heaven doesn't see failure, it sees movement. You're still walking through the fire, still radiating light, still standing in the name of something greater than yourself. That's divine warfare. You fight not with hate, but with faith. And your faith? It echoes through the unseen world like thunder. Every time you refuse to give up, it sends shockwaves through the darkness. Every time you say, I still believe, after everything you faced, heaven celebrates and hell trembles. So yes, demons recognize you because your spirit is ancient. You've walked through lifetimes of tests, carrying the flame of divine memory. You were born with a mission, and that mission radiates through every word, every act of kindness, every silent prayer you whisper in the dark. Don't you see? You are not the hunted, you are the threat. You are not the victim, you are the vessel. The light within you isn't fragile, it's eternal. Every time they tried to break you, they unknowingly helped you access new levels of strength. Every betrayal purified your heart. Every isolation season deepened your connection with the divine. You didn't just survive the storm, you became the storm. And now, when darkness senses you, it remembers what happened last time it tried. It remembers how you rose again. It remembers how your prayers burned through obstacles. It remembers that the last attack only made you sharper, stronger, and even more surrendered to divine will. So hold your head high. Walk with quiet confidence. You don't need to prove who you are. The spiritual world already knows. Light doesn't announce itself. It just shines, and everything that can't handle it either transforms or flees. Demons recognize that you're not ordinary. You're divinely sent. You carry heaven's fire in mortal form, and no shadow can dim that. You've stepped into an era of recognition, not from people, but from realms. The unseen now knows your name, and that name, written in divine fire, cannot be erased. You are chosen, protected, and unstoppable. There's a sacred truth few ever grasp. The more light you carry, the more the shadows test you. But chosen one, what you must understand now is this. The tests aren't punishments, they're confirmations. Heaven is not questioning your strength, it's revealing it. Every hardship you've endured has been a divine unveiling. When it felt like the world turned against you, it wasn't rejection, it was spiritual separation. The divine was pulling you away from what couldn't walk with your calling. The silence, the isolation, the loneliness. It wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. Because you cannot carry both heavy baggage and heavenly fire. The truth is, demons recognize chosen ones before the chosen ones recognize themselves. They saw your light long before you believed in it. They sensed your mission long before you could name it. And that's why they came for you early, in childhood wounds, in betrayal, in rejection. They tried to make you doubt your worth before you could discover your power. But they failed, because through every attack, every heartbreak, every tear, you grew closer to God, and that closeness turned your pain into power. Every time you were knocked down, you didn't just get back up, you got back up, carrying more wisdom, more grace, more discernment. You learned how to recognize false energy. You learned how to walk away without hate. You learned how to love without expectation. And in that evolution, you became spiritually dangerous to darkness. Now your energy carries authority. You don't need to fight the same way anymore. Your spirit does the fighting before your mouth even speaks. You walk into rooms and shift atmospheres. You pray silently and things begin to move. You carry peace, and that peace feels like fire to anything unclean. That's why you've noticed certain people start to fade away without explanation. Certain conversations drain you. Certain places feel too heavy now. It's not that you've changed too much. It's that your vibration rose higher. You're no longer available for what feeds off fear. You've entered a dimension of divine consciousness, and only those in alignment can meet you there. So don't fear the warfare. Don't fear the tension. It's proof of your rank in the spirit. The very fact that you're still standing after everything proves that heaven walks with you. You're not just protected, you're chosen for victory. Understand this. When demons recognize your light, it's not an invitation to fear, it's a reminder that you've already won. They operate on intimidation, not truth. They feed off insecurity. But you've been anchored in divine assurance. What they don't want you to realize is that they're afraid of you, because your awakening disrupts their influence. Your clarity dissolves their confusion. Your love breaks their chains. When you walk in faith, their assignments collapse. When you speak truth, their illusions shatter. You've been wondering why life has been so intense, why it feels like every time you gain peace, something tries to shake it. But that's because your spirit is ascending, and the enemy always tries to pull down what's rising. Yet no force in hell can stop a soul protected by divine decree. Remember this, your very breath carries divine frequency. Your prayers send ripples through realms. Your laughter, your tears, your resilience, they're all instruments of heaven. You're not just surviving spiritual warfare, you're transforming it. Every battle becomes a sermon. Every scar becomes scripture. The light inside you is not fragile, it's infinite. It's the same fire that guided prophets, healed nations, and moved mountains. And now it's burning within you. That's why demons recognize you instantly, because your frequency no longer belongs to this world. You walk in divine awareness now, and your mere presence disrupts darkness. The spiritual realm doesn't respond to words, it responds to energy. And your energy carries heaven's signature. It carries divine fire, truth, and authority. When you speak peace, storms settle. When you speak faith, fear dissolves. When you simply stand in silence, your aura becomes a fortress that darkness cannot breach. Chosen one, your assignment is bigger than your pain. You weren't called to fit in, you were called to awaken others. Every lesson you learned through betrayal and loss is now spiritual wisdom meant to guide souls still trapped in illusion. Your scars are holy. Your heart is a weapon. Your existence is proof that light always wins. And so, when demons sense your presence, they remember who you are, not by name, but by essence. They bow not because you're human, but because you carry the imprint of the divine. So don't hide your fire anymore. Don't water down your light to make others comfortable. Don't apologize for your sensitivity, your intuition, your purity, your compassion. That's your armor. That's your divine technology. Every time you walk in truth, you broadcast heaven's frequency. Every act of kindness becomes a ripple of divine energy. Every time you choose love instead of hate, you make darkness retreat. That's the real power of the chosen, not to destroy evil, but to transform it by being untouchably light. You're walking proof that no curse can stick, no shadow can linger, and no demon can dominate what God has anointed. You don't fight for victory, you fight from victory. You were born marked by heaven, and nothing can unmark what's been divinely sealed. Even when you feel small, the universe remembers your authority. Even when you feel tired, angels still surround you. Even when you think it's over, heaven whispers, "You've already won." So rise, chosen one. The world is shifting because you dared to stay pure in a corrupt time. You dared to keep faith when everything said to quit. You dared to believe when others mocked. And heaven saw it all. Heaven recorded every prayer. Heaven celebrated every comeback the demons recognized. Your power, but heaven recognized your heart. And that heart is why you're unstoppable. If this message resonated in your soul, it's because your spirit already knew it was true. You are not alone. You are protected, powerful, and deeply loved. Subscribe to this channel right now, because what's coming next will awaken your divine memory even more. Each word, each story, each revelation here is designed to strengthen your light, sharpen your spirit, and remind you who you truly are. Stay grounded, stay glowing, and remember, demons may recognize your power, but heaven has already crowned your victory. If you've clicked on this video, chances are you're searching for something. Maybe you're feeling stuck in your life, wondering if there's more to your existence than the daily routine you've fallen into. Maybe you've achieved what you thought you wanted: the job, the relationship, the lifestyle, only to find yourself still feeling empty. Or perhaps you're going through a difficult season, and you're trying to make sense of why things have unfolded the way they have. You're not alone in this search. The quest for meaning and purpose is one of the most fundamental human experiences. Throughout history, philosophers, spiritual leaders, and ordinary people have grappled with the same questions you're asking now. Why am I here? What am I meant to do with my life? How can I make a difference? Does my life matter? The good news is that asking these questions is already a sign of growth. Many people go through life on autopilot, never pausing to examine whether they're living intentionally or simply reacting to circumstances. The fact that you're here, engaging with content about purpose and meaning, shows that you're ready to live more consciously and deliberately. Let's start by acknowledging something important. Finding your purpose isn't a one-time event where everything suddenly becomes clear in a flash of inspiration. It's a journey of self-discovery that unfolds over time. It involves getting to know yourself, deeply your values, your strengths, your passions, and yes, even your wounds and weaknesses. All of these elements contribute to your unique perspective and the specific contribution you can make to the world. Think about the experiences that have shaped you. The challenges you've overcome have given you resilience and empathy that others who haven't walked that road don't possess. The skills you've developed, sometimes in unexpected areas, have prepared you for opportunities you haven't encountered yet. The people who've influenced you both positively and negatively taught you lessons about what kind of person you want to be and what kind of impact you want to have. Your purpose isn't something external that you need to find or chase down. It's something that emerges from the intersection of who you are, what you care about, and where you see need in the world around you. It's discovered through experimentation, reflection, and paying attention to what makes you come alive. One of the biggest obstacles to discovering purpose is the comparison trap. In our hyperconnected world, we're constantly exposed to other people's highlight reels, their successes, their seemingly perfect lives, their clear sense of direction. This can make us feel like we're falling behind or that our own journey doesn't measure up. But purpose isn't a competition. Your path doesn't need to look like anyone else's. In fact, it shouldn't. Consider the concept of ikigai, a Japanese term that roughly translates to reason for being. It's found at the intersection of 4 elements: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be rewarded for. This framework is helpful because it acknowledges that purpose isn't just about passion or just about skill. It's about finding where multiple aspects of your life align. What do you love doing? What activities make you lose track of time? What topics do you find yourself reading about or discussing even when you're not required to? These are clues to your authentic interests. Not what you think you should be interested in, but what genuinely captivates you. What are you naturally good at? Sometimes our talents are so natural to us that we don't even recognize them as special. Pay attention to what people ask for your help with, what comes easily to you that seems difficult for others, what you've always been able to do well even without extensive training. These natural strengths are tools in your toolkit. What does the world need? Look around you with open eyes. What problems do you see that frustrate you? What injustices make your heart ache? What gaps do you notice that no one seems to be addressing? Your unique combination of experiences gives you a particular lens through which you see the world. And what you notice might be exactly what you're meant to address. What can sustain you? Purpose needs to be sustainable. While volunteering and unpaid work can be part of a purposeful life, you also need to consider how you'll support yourself. How can your purpose connect to work that provides for your needs? This isn't selling out it's being realistic. About creating a life where you can consistently show up and make an impact. It's important to release the pressure of needing to have everything figured out right now. Purpose evolves as you evolve. What feels like your calling at 25 might shift by 35, and that's not only okay, it's natural. As you grow, learn, and experience more of life, your understanding of how you can contribute will deepen and sometimes change direction entirely. Many people get paralyzed waiting for complete clarity before they take any action. But clarity comes through action, not before it. You discover what you're meant to do by trying things, learning from them, and adjusting your course. Think of it like driving at night. You don't need to see the entire road to your destination. Just the next few feet illuminated by your headlights. Take the next step you can see, and the step after that will become visible. Another crucial element in discovering purpose is paying attention to your values. What principles are non-negotiable for you? What do you stand for? When do you feel most aligned with your authentic self? And when do you feel like you're betraying who you really are? Living in alignment with your values is essential for sustainable purpose. You can be successful by external measures while feeling empty inside. If that success requires you to compromise what matters most to you, Your purpose also doesn't need to be grandiose. We're often sold the narrative that meaningful lives require massive platforms, global impact, or revolutionary innovations. While some people are called to work at that scale, most of us will make our greatest impact in smaller, more intimate circles: our families, our communities, our workplaces, our neighborhoods. Raising children with love and integrity is purposeful work. Creating beauty through art is purposeful work. Teaching one student to believe in themselves is purposeful work. Showing up consistently for a friend going through hard times is purposeful work. The search for meaning is deeply personal, but it's not meant to be done in isolation. We discover who we are in relationship with others. Community, mentorship, and meaningful connections provide mirrors that help us see ourselves more clearly. They also provide opportunities to practice and refine our gifts in service of something beyond ourselves to move forward in living a purposeful life. You need to develop a clear understanding of what you bring to the table. This requires honest self-assessment, not self-criticism or self-aggrandizement, but truthful observation of who you are, what you're capable of, and what you've learned through your experiences. Start by reflecting on your story. Not the sanitized version you might share on social media or in a job interview, but the real, messy, complicated story of how you got to where you are today. Every experience you've had has contributed to shaping you, even the painful ones. Especially the painful ones. Consider the challenges you've overcome. What obstacles have you faced? What did you learn about yourself in the process of navigating those difficulties? Resilience isn't built through easy times, it's forged in struggle. The fact that you're still here, still searching, still growing despite what you've been through is evidence of strength. You might not fully recognize in yourself. Many people minimize their own struggles, thinking that because others have had it worse, their difficulties don't count. This is a form of self-invalidation that prevents you from extracting wisdom from your experiences. Your pain is valid. Your challenges were real, and the skills you've developed to survive and overcome them are valuable assets that can help others facing similar situations. Think about the people who've impacted your life: mentors, family members, friends, even strangers who showed up at crucial moments. What did they teach you? How did they shape your values? Sometimes our purpose emerges from wanting to be for others what someone was for us. If a teacher believed in you when no one else did, you might be called to believe in others. If a counselor helped you through a dark time, you might be meant to help guide others through their darkness. Conversely, consider the people who hurt you or let you down. While these experiences are painful, they often clarify what we don't want to be and what we want to change in the world. If you experienced injustice, you might be called to work for justice. If you experienced neglect, you might be meant to show up with presence and care. Our wounds can become the birthplace of our most meaningful work when we transform pain into purpose. Now, let's examine your natural talents and developed skills. Make a list and, actually write this down. The things you're good at. Include everything, even things that seem insignificant. Maybe you're good at making people feel comfortable. Maybe you have a knack for organizing information. Maybe you can fix things, cook delicious meals, write clearly, understand complex systems, connect people, or create beauty. Pay special attention to what psychologists call flow states. Times when you're so engaged in an activity that you lose track of time and everything else fades into the background. These flow experiences are indicators of activities that align with your natural abilities and interests. What were you doing during these times? What elements of those activities could be incorporated more regularly into your life? Ask people who know you well what they see as your strengths. Often, others can see our gifts more clearly than we can because we take our own abilities for granted. Send a message to 5 people who know you in different contexts: work, family, friendship, and ask them, what do you think I'm naturally good at? And when have you seen me at my best? Their answers might surprise you and reveal patterns you haven't noticed. Consider your personality type and how you're wired. Are you energized by people or by solitude? Do you prefer structure or flexibility? Are you driven by data and logic or by emotion and intuition? Do you think in big picture terms or focus on details? None of these preferences is better than others, they're just different operating systems. Understanding how you're wired helps you find environments and roles where you can thrive rather than constantly swimming upstream. Reflect on what makes you angry or breaks your heart. Our emotional responses to the world around us often point toward our calling. What issues stir something deep inside you? What problems do you see that you wish you could solve? What suffering do you witness that you can't ignore? These emotional responses aren't random, they're indicators of where your passion intersects with the world's need. Think about what you would do if money were no object and failure were impossible. This thought experiment helps bypass the practical concerns that often limit our thinking and gets to the heart of what we actually care about. While the answer to this question isn't a perfect blueprint for your purpose, we do live in a world where money matters and failure is possible. It reveals what genuinely motivates you beyond external rewards. Examine your values systematically. What matters most to you? Is it creativity, security, freedom, justice, connection, growth, beauty, wisdom, service, authenticity? When you're forced to choose between 2 goods, which do you typically prioritize? Understanding your values helps you make decisions that feel aligned and authentic rather than leaving you feeling conflicted and drained. Look at your past decisions and notice the patterns. When have you felt most alive and aligned? When have you felt most disconnected from yourself? What circumstances tend to bring out your best self versus triggering your worst tendencies? These patterns reveal important information about the conditions you need to thrive and the situations you should avoid or approach with caution. Consider your privilege and your position. What advantages have you had? What doors have been opened to you? What systems have worked in your favor? Understanding your privilege isn't about feeling guilty. It's about recognizing resources and access you can leverage for good. It's also about understanding where you have influence and where you can use that influence to create opportunities for others simultaneously. Acknowledge where you face disadvantage or marginalization. What perspectives do you have because of experiences of being excluded, overlooked, or oppressed? These experiences, while painful, give you insight into broken systems and unmet needs that those with more privilege might never notice. Your unique vantage point is valuable. Think about the legacy you want to leave. If people gathered to remember you at the end of your life, what would you want them to say? What impact would you want to have had? This isn't about ego or being. Remember, it's about clarifying what kind of mark you want to make on the world during your time here. Understanding yourself is crucial, but purpose requires action. You can spend years in self-reflection and never actually live differently. At some point, you need to translate insight into behavior, awareness into practice, potential into reality. This section is about the practical steps you can take to build a life aligned with your purpose. First, start experimenting. You can't discover your purpose purely through thinking. You need to try things. If you're drawn to a particular field or cause, find small ways to engage with it. Volunteer for a few hours. Take an online course. Attend a meet or conference. Read books by practitioners. Interview someone doing work that interests you. These low-stakes experiments give you real information about whether something that sounds appealing in theory actually resonates in practice. Many people don't pursue their interests because they believe they need to immediately commit to a complete career change or life overhaul. This all-or-nothing thinking keeps them stuck. Instead, think in terms of small experiments and gradual shifts. You can explore new directions while maintaining stability in other areas of your life. You don't have to quit your job to start a side project. You don't have to move across the country to volunteer locally with a cause you care about. Set specific, achievable goals that move you toward the life you want to be living. Vague intentions, like find my purpose or make a difference, are too abstract to guide action. Instead, identify concrete steps. Spend 3 hours this month researching organizations working on environmental issues I care about. Have coffee with one person working in a field I'm curious about. Complete one online course in a subject that interests me. These specific actions create momentum and learning. Build a practice of reflection into your routine. Set aside time weekly or monthly to assess what's working in your life and what isn't. What activities are giving you energy versus draining you? What relationships are supporting your growth versus holding you back? What commitments are aligned with your values versus ones you've said yes to out of obligation or fear? Regular reflection helps you make course corrections before you drift too far off track. Develop skills that will serve your purpose. Once you have some clarity about the direction you want to move in, identify what capabilities you need to develop. This might mean going back to school, but it might also mean finding mentors, taking workshops, practicing consistently, or learning through doing. Be strategic about where you invest your time and resources in skill development. Seek out community with others who share your values and interests. Purpose is rarely lived in isolation. Find your people, the ones who understand what drives you, who encourage your growth, who challenge you to be better. This might be a formal group, an online community, a mastermind, or simply a handful of friends who are also trying to live intentionally. These connections provide accountability, support, inspiration, and collaboration opportunities. Learn to say no to protect your yes. As you gain clarity about your purpose, you'll need to create boundaries around your time and energy. You can't say yes to everything, and trying to do so will dilute your impact and deplete your resources. Saying no to good opportunities that don't align with your purpose creates space for great opportunities that do. This requires courage and practice, especially if you're a people pleaser or conflict-avoider. Address practical obstacles realistically. If your purpose requires a career transition, how will you support yourself during that process? If it requires additional education, how will you finance it? If it requires relocation, what needs to be arranged? Being purposeful doesn't mean being reckless. Think through the practical implications of your choices and create realistic plans that account for your responsibilities and limitations. Work on your mindset and inner obstacles. Often what holds us back isn't external circumstances, but internal. Barriers, fear of failure, imposter syndrome, perfectionism, scarcity thinking, limiting beliefs about what we're capable of or deserving of. These psychological obstacles require attention and healing. This might involve therapy, coaching, spiritual practice, or self-help resources that help you identify and transform unhelpful thought patterns. Taught. Practice gratitude for where you are while working toward where you want to be. Purpose isn't only about the future, it's also about finding meaning in the present. What can you appreciate about your current circumstances? What opportunities do you have right now to live your values and use your gifts, even in small ways? Gratitude keeps you grounded and prevents the trap of always waiting for the next thing to feel fulfilled. Build sustainable rhythms and practices. Purpose isn't maintained through occasional bursts of inspiration. It requires consistent habits that support your well-being and keep you connected to what matters. This might include daily practices like meditation, journaling, exercise, or reading. It might include weekly practices like community gathering, nature time, or creative expression. It might include monthly practices like reviewing goals, connecting with mentors, or engaging in service. These rhythms create the structure that allows purpose to flourish. Expect setbacks and plan for resilience. Living purposefully doesn't mean everything will be easy or go according to plan. You'll face obstacles, make mistakes, experience doubt, and sometimes fail. Build resilience by developing coping strategies in advance. How will you handle disappointment? Who will you turn to for support? What practices help you bounce back? How will you learn from setbacks rather than being destroyed by them? Measure progress appropriately. Purpose isn't always quantifiable, but you should have some way of assessing whether you're moving in the right direction. What indicators will tell you that you're living more aligned with your values? These might be qualitative, feeling more energized, experiencing deeper relationships, having more moments of meaning, or they might be quantitative. Hours spent in purposeful activity, people impacted, skills developed. Define success on your own terms rather than by external standards. Share your journey. Living purposefully can feel vulnerable, but sharing your process, the struggles as well as the successes, creates connection and might inspire others. This doesn't mean you need to broadcast everything publicly, but finding appropriate contexts to be honest about your search for meaning can deepen relationships and create unexpected opportunities. Stay flexible and open to evolution. Your understanding of your purpose will deepen and sometimes shift as you grow and as circumstances change. What feels like your calling at one stage of life might evolve into something different later. This isn't failure or inconsistency, it's growth. Even with clarity about your purpose and concrete steps to pursue it, you'll encounter obstacles. Some are external practical constraints, other people's expectations, systemic barriers. Others are internal, fear, doubt, old patterns, limiting beliefs. Let's address the most common obstacles people face when trying to live more purposefully and explore strategies for navigating them. Fear of failure is perhaps the most universal obstacle. What if you pursue this new direction and it doesn't work out? What if you're not good enough? What if you waste time and resources on something that goes nowhere? These fears are valid, but they shouldn't be the deciding factor in whether you take action. Reframe failure as learning. Every experiment, even if it doesn't produce the outcome you hoped for, gives you valuable information. You learn what doesn't work, what you don't enjoy, what skills you need to develop. This information helps you make better decisions going forward. Financial concerns are another major obstacle. How can you pursue purpose when you have bills to pay, debt to manage, or dependence relying on your income. This requires creativity and patience. You don't have to make dramatic changes overnight. Look for ways to move toward purpose while maintaining financial stability side projects. Gradual transitions, leveraging existing skills in new contexts, reducing expenses to create flexibility. Some people are in positions where they need to stay in jobs that don't fulfill them while finding purpose in other areas of life. This isn't settling, it's being responsible while still living intentionally. Lack of support from family, friends, or community can be deeply discouraging. The people closest to you might not understand your choices, might actively discourage you, or might withdraw their support when you start changing. This is painful, but it's also common. People who haven't examined their own lives are often threatened by others who do. People who care about you might genuinely fear for your well-being when you take risks. You can't control their reactions, but you can find support elsewhere from mentors, communities aligned with your goals, or others on similar journeys. Sometimes you need to pursue purpose before the people in your life come around to understanding it. Imposter syndrome tells you that you're not qualified, not experienced enough, not credentialed enough to do the work you feel called to. You compare yourself to experts who've been in their field for decades and feel like a fraud. Remember that everyone starts somewhere. Expertise is built through practice, not possessed from the beginning. You don't need to be the world's foremost authority to make a contribution. You just need to know more than the people you're serving and be committed to continuous learning. Focus on serving rather than performing, and imposter syndrome loses much of its power. Perfectionism keeps many people stuck in endless preparation, never feeling ready to actually start. You want to wait until you have the perfect plan, the perfect skills, the perfect circumstances. But perfection is impossible, and waiting for it means you'll never begin. Practice starting before you feel ready. Launch the imperfect project. Have the awkward conversation. Create the messy first draft. You can refine as you go, but you can't refine what doesn't exist yet. Done is better than perfect. Analysis paralysis occurs when you have so many options or so much information that you can't make a decision. You research endlessly, weigh every factor, and still can't commit to a direction. The antidote is to set a decision deadline and recognize that most choices aren't permanent. You can always course correct if a choice doesn't work out. Sometimes you just need to pick something and see what happens. Movement creates clarity that thinking alone cannot. Burnout and depletion can happen even when you're doing purposeful work. If you give constantly without replenishing yourself, you'll eventually have nothing left to give. Purpose must be sustainable. This means setting boundaries, practicing self-care, taking rest seriously, and recognizing that you can't do everything. Protect your energy like the precious resource it is. Learn to distinguish between the productive discomfort of growth and the destructive pain of depletion. Comparison and envy are amplified. In our social media age, where we're constantly exposed to others' accomplishments, someone else is already doing what you want to do, and they're doing it better. This thought can be paralyzing. Remember that there's no scarcity of purpose. Someone else living their calling doesn't prevent you from living yours. In fact, people doing similar work can become collaborators rather than competitors. Focus on your unique perspective and contribution, rather than trying to replicate what others are doing. Past failures can create fear that holds you back. You tried something before and it didn't work out, so why would this be any different? The past doesn't determine the future unless you let it. You're not the same person you were during that previous attempt. You have more experience, more wisdom, more skills. The circumstances are different. The timing might be better. And even if you face another setback, you'll survive it like you survived the last one. Don't let old wounds prevent new growth. Systemic barriers related to race, gender, class, disability, or other aspects of identity create real obstacles that positive thinking alone cannot overcome. Acknowledge these realities without letting them become excuses for complete inaction. Look for spaces where your specific perspective is valued. Build community with others navigating similar challenges. Use your experience to work towards systemic change while also finding ways to move forward within current constraints. Sometimes purpose includes working to dismantle the very barriers you're facing. Time constraints are real. You're busy with work, family, responsibilities. How can you possibly add anything else? Start small. Even 15 minutes a day directed toward something meaningful adds up over time. Look for pockets of time you're currently wasting, scrolling social media, watching TV you don't care about. Redirect them. Combined purposes involve your family in service projects. Listen to educational podcasts during your commute. Practice your craft during lunch breaks. Where there's commitment, you can usually find time, even if it's less than you'd ideally like. As we conclude, let's zoom out and consider the bigger picture of what it means to live a purposeful life over the long term. Purpose isn't just about finding the right career or achieving particular goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who creates meaning through how they show up in the world. Regardless of circumstances, living purposefully is about character development as much as achievement. Who are you becoming in the process of pursuing your goals? Are you developing patience, resilience, compassion, integrity? Are you learning to handle success with humility and failure with grace? The person you become matters as much as what you accomplish. In fact, who you are determines the sustainability and impact of what you do. Purpose includes how you treat people in ordinary interactions. It's not only about the grand mission or the impressive project, it's also about whether you're kind to the checkout clerk, whether you listen fully when your child talks to you, whether you show up for your friend going through a hard time. These small moments are where character is revealed and where much of your actual impact happens. You can change the world through one conversation that shifts someone's perspective, one act of kindness that restores someone's faith in humanity, one moment of real presence that makes someone feel seen. Creating meaning is about service, not just success. Our culture often conflates purpose with professional achievement or public recognition, but the most meaningful lives are often the ones spent in service to others, raising children well, caring for aging parents, teaching, healing, building community, creating beauty, fighting for justice. These contributions may never make headlines, but they improve the fabric of human existence. Consider how you can be of service with the resources, skills, and position you currently have. Service doesn't require perfect circumstances, just requires willingness. Purpose evolves across the lifespan. What you're called to do at 20 looks different from what you're equipped for at 40 or 60. Each season of life brings different capacities, responsibilities, and opportunities. Young adulthood might be about exploration and skill development. Midlife might be about building and leading. Later, life might be about mentoring and sharing wisdom. Don't judge your current season by the metrics of a different one. Ask what this particular chapter of your life is for and how you can live it fully.